This OCR GCSE History question focuses on what is the message of this cartoon, and of course it's worth 6 points. And here we have a cartoon that's actually being created by a cartoonist called David Lowe on the 20th of September 1939, and this is essential for understanding what the overall meaning of it is about. It's actually entitled Rendezvous, and here we have a cartoon figure representing Adolf Hitler, the leader of Germany, and here we have the figure of Joseph Stalin, the leader of Communist Russia. And the writing that's actually highlighted there and there, I've actually highlighted in larger letters down at the bottom. And it actually states, Hitler says, "The scum of the earth, I believe." And Stalin replies, "The bloody assassin of the workers, I presume." So we're going to look at what the overall message of the cartoon is. But first of all, let's have a look at the mark scheme. Of course, as you're familiar by now, you obviously need to directly answer the question. You simply have to figure out what the message of the cartoon is. But you need to go a little bit deeper than that, and you need to include source details from the actual cartoon itself. So make sure that you make references to things like the body language and facial expressions and things to do with the background of what's going on and everything that's on there. Now, to take it even further, you'll actually understand that you need to include contextual knowledge, essentially meaning what's going on at the time, what was going on around September, particularly the 20th, 1939. So let's have a look at some of this, the contextual knowledge in a little bit more detail. In order to understand this more fully, we need to go right the way back to 1917. This is when Russia became a communist country and became actually known as Soviet Russia or Communist Russia. Now, the Communist Party believed that workers around the world should be more equal. They felt that rich people had too much money and too much wealth, and although to some this sounded like a good idea, others around the world actually saw Russia as a threat, as being a danger. And as a result of this, many countries actually saw Russia as the main threat at the time, and not Hitler. And many feel that this is the reason why Chamberlain allowed Hitler to get away with so much. People felt that Hitler wasn't the threat, it was actually Russia. Now, nevertheless, Hitler had actually said in countless speeches that he himself wanted to destroy Communist Russia, and he felt that they were Germany's sworn enemies. And therefore it came as a massive shock around the world when the Soviets, meaning the Russians, actually signed the Nazi-Soviet Pact. Now, this was a promise never to go to war with each other. Now, Chamberlain had actually given up the policy of appeasement after Hitler broke promises not to take over Czechoslovakia in 1939, and instead promised to declare war on Hitler should they go even further and attack Poland. Now, although this pact promised that they would never go to war between Germany and Russia, it also had a secret aspect of the treaty that said that they would both eventually attack Poland and divide it up between them. Many think that Hitler signed this pact, therefore, to make sure that Britain wouldn't dare to declare war on Germany, knowing that Russia was on their side. Now, many believe that Stalin also didn't actually sign the pact in full honesty. Many think that it was a strategy designed to make sure that he had time to build up his army, as he knew that Hitler was moving eastwards and would eventually try and take over Russia. As a result of all of this, the Soviet Pact, the Nazi-Soviet Pact, has become known as almost like a marriage of convenience, as it both suited the needs of Stalin and of Hitler. So in a moment it will be time to press pause in order for you to think about what the overall message of this cartoon is. Now, what's very important is the time frame. September 1939 is just after 3 days when Russia actually took their half of Poland. So think very carefully about what this dead person could represent there in the middle. Think about the body posture of the two. Think about why their body posture is so exaggerated. And when you can see here what they're saying, I've actually highlighted it down at the bottom where it says, Hitler says, "The scum of the earth, I believe." And Stalin replies, "The bloody assassin of the workers, I presume." What could all this mean? It's time to press pause. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the closer aspects, and this will help you to write up your answer. The background here actually shows the backdrop of like explosions normally linked to war, and both Stalin and Hitler have guns at their side, showing that even though they are being polite to each other, they are both ready to reach for their guns. Now, their body language here is clearly exaggerated. What we have, it shows that their smiles, those too are exaggerated, and their postures show that they are clearly being over the top. Such a greeting is normally for friends, but they are clearly just pretending, and that's a key aspect of this. And they show that they are both being pleasant to each other, yet the words they are saying clearly show that they actually hate each other. For example, Hitler says, "the scum of the earth, I believe," which obviously isn't a very pleasant way to greet someone. And Stalin replies, "the bloody assassin of the workers, I believe, I presume." Now this actually shows that they are like being two-faced, and even though they have agreement, it shows that they really hate and despise each other. Now the body in the middle actually represents Poland, and they are both standing over the body. This highlights the pact again, that it's almost like a marriage of convenience, and this is your contextual knowledge. It's showing that they've both got together in order to get something out of this relationship, which is dividing Poland up. And for Hitler, it was to try and dissuade Britain from declaring war on them when they take over half of Poland, and for Russia it was to buy more time, because they ultimately know that Hitler is coming for them, and it's all about giving them time to build up more army. So overall, the message is that the Nazi-Soviet Pact was only like a marriage of convenience. David Lowe is actually criticising Russia and Germany for the signing of it. So let's have a quick recap of the mark scheme. You should know by now that you need to directly answer the question in your opening sentences, and of course use source details to back up your main point. So be clear to mention body posture and how they are being two-faced. Quote some of the words. Even highlight what the meaning of the title actually means. Rendezvous, actually meeting place in French. And then of course you'll need to include the contextual knowledge of what was going on at the time. This idea of Hitler and Stalin used the pact as like a marriage of convenience. Stalin used it in order to buy more time and build up his armed forces because he knew Hitler was moving eastwards, and Hitler signed it in order to try and prevent Britain from declaring war when they invade Poland.